We are streaming. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tech Down Over. It is Friday. What is today? The 25th? 6th? Anyway,
24th.
23rd. The 23rd. September 2016. So we are just doing our pre-show. Sorry we're a little bit late. We had a show that just went on a little longer because we had some Skype issues with one of the people, and it took her about 35 minutes to get the Skype going, but we got it. That was a TLDC show. We did it through eLearn Chat, but it was for TLDC and some of the things they're doing that are pretty innovative.
I knew you must have been doing something because I was a bit worried because I saw the stream went live and I thought, I'm not there. Did you go early?
We have our invisible guest host today.
That's right.
So anyway, so today we're going to talk a little bit about other stuff and cameras and all sorts of. There's so much stuff out there right now. Though Photokina wasn't all that exciting, from what I read.
Well, I haven't seen too much, but I've had a look at some of the things that Tony's been saying about the releases. So.
Let's talk about some of that. Anyway, ready to go?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, so we are going to start the show recording in 3, 2, and 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tech Down Over. I'm Rick Zanotti, and I'm joined today by my good friend and co-host, Jeff Blanchard. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Good, thank you. It's starting to feel a bit more like summer here now. So.
Yeah, we're getting hot, too. It's supposed to be in the 90s this weekend, which is, for where we are, rare. But I don't know. Today was pretty cool. It was supposed to be 82, and at lunch it was like 70-something, maybe 73. It was really kind of cool. So I hope they're wrong. Well, anyway, Jeff, this week I totally destroyed my pair of earbuds.
Oh, you did?
The ones I always use, these things. $500 down the tube. I accidentally stepped on one of the buds and just killed it. It sliced it off. I mean, literally sliced. What happened is it got stuck to my shirt when I got up. It landed on the floor. As I'm looking, I stepped, and I go, well, I guess I found it. And it just sheared that right off.
The funny thing is with those brands, it's the Shure, isn't it?
It is.
And I've got mine look exactly the same as yours.
No, I think I got yours now.
No, I've got these. These are the same ones as the ones you stood on. They look the same.
Yeah.
Feel the same. I can still hear you, but they were $99.
These were about $89 on Amazon. They didn't send me the transparent. I guess they're black.
Yes.
But I'll probably order a transparent later. But they're really good. They sound as good as those, frankly.
Yeah.
And it's $400 cheaper. So. I'm happy.
Because you don't need, as long as you can hear people, you don't need super duper high fidelity sound.
No, and actually they're not bad. If you play music on yours, they'll probably sound pretty good.
Yeah, they do. They do sound pretty good.
Yep. Let's play our intro.
Yeah.
You know, what you folks don't know is that every time we play that intro, we actually run to the beach, do some surfing, get out of our clothes, take a quick shower, and we're back in 15 seconds.
That's right.
Now, that takes talent. So we hope you appreciate that. Even our hair is dry after all that effort. It's amazing. Because both of us are pretty close to beaches. We're about 10 miles from the beach, and I think you're probably pretty close, right?
Yeah, pretty well. The thing is with Australia, pretty much 90% of the population are close to the beach because the rest of it's pretty much unused inland. So.
That's true.
Not like America where everybody lives everywhere. We tend to stick to the outside.
Hey, that's where we should be sending all those refugees that don't want to be in there. Just put them out in the outback somewhere. They'd have a good time.
No, okay. I'll leave that alone. So.
Yeah, I'll leave that alone. But it's true. They'd have a good time there. It'd be just like home. Anyway.
Sorry if I sound a bit croaky. I've just been away on business. I went to Queensland this week. And so that's our version of your Florida, you see. So, but it was nice weather up there. But when you go from, I think, hot, cold, or clammy to warm and cold and hot again, I think you pick up something on that. But while I was there, I did use my iPhone as a camera because I thought I couldn't be bothered taking my FZ1000 or the Canon 60D. And I was just quite impressed how well it is when you don't have a camera, how well these smartphones do the job for you. It's just quite amazing, isn't it?
They're not bad. I mean, most people think that a smartphone, I mean, frankly, they're not bad at all. And some of the pictures I've taken on smartphones like you just sit back and go, wow, that looks actually pretty good. They do a good job, especially video.
And that's what I was doing. I did a time lapse thing. I've just got to figure out how to get it off the phone now. But it was quite amazing. I was looking at all the smartphones people were using, and I thought, goodness, you wouldn't want to be any other company other than Apple and Samsung out there, would you?
Well, I don't know. Samsung.
That's all I saw.
Samsung may have blown it for a very long time. A lot of people are saying they're not going to upgrade to the new fixed non-explosive Note 7. And they're going to other phones. But they're not going to Apple. That's the funny part. So it's sort of interesting. There's definitely not an Apple love by a lot of the Android people. So they said right now HTC, if they play their cards right, could really make a difference in the marketplace because they've always had good phones. Pocket Now did a review of the HTC M10, or HTC 10. It's one of their newer ones. And they said this is the best Android phone in the market that nobody bought.
And that's it. They sort of started off really well, and everybody bought the earlier model. Then they got better and better, but then everybody just fell off. They all sort of dumped them and went to Samsung or Apple.
Well, that's what killed Motorola. Well, Motorola got killed at one point because they put out lousy phones, bad quality. But HTC always had good quality, and except for maybe one or two phones, they were always actually they were the darling of the Android world. Samsung comes out and goes, we've got better phones. Take a look at the Note 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Forget the 7. Let's go back to the 5. This is an opportunity for HTC to say, well, we have good phones too. I've been looking at the HTC Desire. It's a 5.5-inch screen, which is only 0.2 less than the Note 7. I may get that one. I'm just not that happy right now with Samsung and phones that explode. I think that's pretty crappy. And it's not only that, it's the amount of time you waste setting them up, having to redo it. And this one, I sort of got screwed over because both phones were reset before I had a chance. So I had stuff in the cloud, but it didn't back up as well as having the copy from one to the other. So it was a real pain. Contacts are missing. I'm just going, Argh. So yes, you got rid of a phone, but now you have all the work to do to put it back the way it was. And that's time consuming.
And to me, the only thing I don't like about Android, because I actually like Android as a platform, but the only thing I don't like is when there is an upgrade, there's thousands of upgrades because it's dependent on what brand you have. And you don't, and okay, my upgrade might work because I've got a Samsung, but your upgrade might not work because you've got the HTC. But if they could come to a thing where it's just one system, and then they've got their extra add-on section.
Well, yeah, that's what Apple does. They're great at that. They say, here's our upgrade, doesn't work, screw you, your problem. That's Apple.
But at least they're consistent. If you upgrade to the Apple one and it's broken, well, everybody is.
That's right. It's equal.
With Android, you hit and miss. You could have a Samsung phone, but different ones, and half the people could upgrade correctly. And then if you've got a different model, it might not because of their own software that they do put on the phones.
Right. Now,
and I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry. And I think people are just fed up with all the rubbish software that comes with it that they think people need.
I know.
They just want the phone, and they want the standard calendar function, the email, and the internet browser. That's about it. Anything else, they want to put their own things on.
And they get paid a lot to do that, probably. Those are not free. So it's all the junkware. It's all like you buy a PC, and you get a lot of junkware.
Well, remember, PCs have even got better, or computers, because it used to be you'd buy a PC and it'd take you 3 months to get rid of all the spam, all the spam which had all the advertising thing. You'd have a free copy of Word, but with that you'd have every single minute there would be adverts, so you had to get rid of that. And then if you got rid of it wrong, the whole computer didn't work. But I think they've learned the lesson now, because most computers come fairly light on with software.
Yep. Now, Photokina was last week. There were some announcements. Yes. You said you were watching Tony and Chelsea doing some of the reviews. What did you hear?
Just Tony did about a 37-minute review of just some of the key models, and there were a few of the ones that interest us, like the Panasonic GH5.
GH5, which won't come out till either January or February.
Yeah, they said there wasn't much, even said January, February, but they said by the sounds of it, it didn't sound like there was anything hugely fantastic about it apart from the 4K 60 frames a
Right.
second.
It's
That's not
evolutionary because
huge.
they had such a good camera back in the beginning that what they really need to do, they did. They added a second SD card. That's important. I hope they fix the focusing because their focusing wasn't great. For tracking, it was so-so. Focus tracking on face was pretty good until you hit a lot of objects and it could disappear. But it just wasn't as good as the Canon focusing. It's not as good as the Fuji focusing. So it's just a question of whether they fix that. And the colors weren't as good. I heard they did make some differences to colors. So I'm hoping that with colors, now we have something that looks a little more realistic, not so bluish. I'm not sure what other, there was some other things like 8K or 6K pictures, which then go down to whatever you make it. So that's an interesting, they take 6K out of a 4K image. So it's sort of interesting.
And it looks like they've got an FZ 2500. That looks like the FZ 1000 replacement.
Now, did you hear? I didn't hear anything about that one. Any changes or?
Well, as I said, a lot of the things got announced, but there wasn't too many things said about the things, just that they're coming later next year or something like that. So
either that or what they did is they announced and go, Hito, anybody say anything? Yeah, they want the 2500. Oh, good, let's make one.
But like Tony said in a lot of his things, of all these things, yes, but they haven't had the cameras yet. They announced them, but they're reserving their judgment until they get the cameras and see what they do have on them.
B&H leaked the GH5. They were doing podcasts with it and showing it. So there's about 4 or 5 videos on the web right now of the GH5. It's exactly the same ergonomics as the GH4, which is good. I don't think they could have done much to perfect that. That is, to me, the best feeling camera I've ever held. It's balanced. It feels good. It's just a beautiful camera for smaller or big hands. I tend to have big hands, and it just feels good. The Fuji, for example, the X-T2 is good, but it's not as good as the GH4 in feel. The GH4 is just special. It just feels perfect. I'd say the Fuji X-T2 is good, but it doesn't feel as good as a GH4. Either the battery grip or the camera just aren't as nicely balanced. They're not bad, but I think the Panasonic just hit it. They hit the ergonomics beautifully on those. Now,
that's what I find with the Panasonic. I can pick it up and I can find all the buttons very, very easily, and you can adjust things just without moving your fingers very much at all, and hold the camera nice and steady. That's what I particularly do like with the Panasonic. I was quite interested in one Tony was also mentioning. You mentioned your Fuji, but there was an Olympus EM1 Mark II. And I've always liked the Olympus for some reason. That was one of my first cameras, the Trip 35, I think it was, the little camera. But this one's the mirrorless, but like we've always said, one thing he liked about it, the body was quite a big, chunky body.
Okay.
He said, well, that doesn't matter. But with that bigger, chunky body, they've put a bigger battery in, which makes it last longer.
Yep.
And like he was saying, he said, I don't care how big and chunky the body is, if it gives me better time and that, and it seems to feel okay. But I'll be interested to see that one because it's got in-body stabilization, the 4K.
Yep.
It's mirrorless.
Oh, it is 4K now. It is 4K?
Yeah, it is. The other one wasn't, but this one's 4K.
Okay.
But it says it's a bigger body, and I thought that might be interesting to have a look at when it comes out. Because I know a friend of mine had an Olympus, a few years back, and just the colour of theirs, I just said, oh, how can you take his pictures always just looked so much better than mine, just the colour. And it just had they do have a different colour spectrum. I think like you said with your Fuji, which I've been looking at yours, the colour, they just seem to be so good, don't they?
It's almost realistic. It's like you're there. I look up, I look at the camera, and it looks the same. I go, wow, that sunset and here are matched. And I don't get that on the Canon. The Canon's not bad, but the Fuji was better. And so I'm thinking, well, Canon has competition now in the color space because Sony, no, not competition. They're very bluish. It doesn't quite represent what you're seeing. Not bad. It looks nice, but it's not real color. Nikon, same way, not quite as accurate. I've seen Canon, probably the best, and now Fuji makes Canon look not so hot. But that's me. I wasn't familiar with the Fuji line. Maybe they've always been like that. And it looks good. Some of the skin tones look amazing. You just go, wow, that looks really like that person's skin tone rather than red or pink or really dark brown, and the person's just in perfect light, and it's just totally different. So their skin reproduction is excellent.
I think one of the things I'm liking, without even seeing it, the Fuji that you were saying that there's got a lot of knobs and dials on it, but I actually quite like that. And remember, you got, what was that one that you got that was very small, that you took back that you didn't like? Was that the Olympus? Or?
No, yeah, but I didn't like the Olympus because it was too small. The ergonomics were like a Sony, and I went, I can't read, and plus the font size was like 4-point font. I went, I'm dead. I can't read this. And it looked nice. But it was too small. At least the Fuji's bigger. It sounds like it just feels better.
That's what I was going to say. The Fuji sounds like that Olympus one you had with the same amount of dials, but just much bigger. So because if you're going to put little dials or dials on it and that, make it a little bit bigger so you can see it.
Right.
And quite frankly, I don't mind dials because sometimes you know where they are and you know where the click is, even if it's dark. Whereas when you've got to get through menus, I really do like, so I know this is the button I can press in no matter what. I don't have to switch the camera on first to find it. I can do that beforehand. So buttons not always bad to me. And,
no, I don't mind the buttons. Sometimes for video they can get in the way a little bit because you can't really change things on the fly because you're going to cause noise. But they're not noisy. I mean, if you're quiet when you change, if you go fast, you're going to get tuck, 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 tuck.
Yeah.
But the camera's very stable. I like it. It's a little counterintuitive on some things, like setting focus or setting your area modes versus your zone modes versus your auto exposure versus your exposure. It's a little tricky to get all those right. We did some shooting the other day, just an interview type thing. It was a tech down over. I deleted it because it didn't come out well. It was clear enough, but it was fuzzy. The screen looked good towards the middle, but where I was fuzzy. And so we tried to figure out how to move the focus point. We could move it, sort of, but we couldn't make it larger. And I can now see it, move it anywhere I want, but I can't make it larger yet in video mode. So I'm going, how the heck do you do this? One of my settings must be off. So I'm trying to figure out what's different in video mode than in pictures. Not a problem. You can use your dial and set it, and it's perfect. But in video mode, it's a little counterintuitive. So I'm trying to figure that out because this shouldn't be that hard. Now I did notice on the menu there's a face recognition. Duh! All I need to do is go into face recognition mode, and then I think we're good. So I have to take a look at that. That was a different video scene I was looking at from a different camera, but I think it's the same on the Fuji X-T2. So I have to look for that and say where's face recognition?
I was noticing some of your test shots, and it wasn't you taking it. There was you in the picture, and I thought whoever was taking it, you were perfectly out of focus.
Perfectly out of focus.
You were perfectly out of focus, and everything else around you was sharp.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? and that has to do with I was probably in the wrong mode, so it wasn't paying attention to that. So I have to find where the face recognition mode is, and then if it has that, great. Now, it may not have face recognition, but I think it does. Then you get the little box, and hey, life is good. Now, here, you know this camera. This is not a camera, it's a camcorder. This is the XA35, which looks kind of like the XA25 that we're filming with right now. This one has a better sensor, much better low light, no moiré, or if any, almost non-existent moiré. Much less rolling shutter. Not that everybody sits around going like this, but we haven't really done much with it yet. We just got it last week. We started putting it together today. It looks nice. It's a little heftier than the XA10 and the XA25. So it's a little heavier. I do that to people sometimes. I talk and they just leave. I don't know what it is. Let's see if we can get him back. Okay, we're going to have to call him back. We did lose him. Well, folks, this is live streaming. And he's in Australia, and sometimes he just goes away. He has a quickening, and he's gone. This is the XA35. Maybe he went out to get one. He does that sometimes. He just runs out and gets something. Or he doesn't and tells me, do you want to get it? Are you there, Jeff?
Back.
Hey, there you are.
Let's see if mine comes back on.
I told everybody that the minute you left, you actually ran to the store to get one of these.
That's right. I've just got one right now. So is that the new? Is that the new one? If you
this
just
is the new
XA35.
It's only been out a couple months, I think, maybe 3 months. It's not been that long. It looks very much like the other ones, but they've added sensor improvements. A little heavier, it seems a little more weighted, a little more balanced. Definitely not as light as the other ones. It's like they actually now have a lens in here, whereas the other ones didn't. I think it's a 20x zoom. It still has one rotating dial. I think you can assign it to different things. I'm not 100% sure. It also has the button down here where you can do things that's assignable to. I would prefer the dial, but there's only one dial. It's got a 3.2 inch.
That one, it's one of the best form factors I like in a video camera. It's just such a nice one to hold. The flip out viewfinder.
It's comfy.
Everything seems to, it really works well, that one.
Yep. And does perfect autofocus. These are good. It's got a 3.2 inch screen. I don't think it's even set up yet. I just turned it on. Can you see anything?
Now, is that the 4K? Yes, I can see that.
But that's just, it looks like settings, right?
No, it looks. Yes,
it's settings. Yeah. Oh, I don't even have a card in here. That's why it's probably not letting me film. Did it turn? It's still in settings. Settings. Yep. So it's stuck on settings. But it's a 3.2 inch screen, so it's pretty large. Not bad. It reminds me of the other ones, but it does have more features in terms of some of the things they've added, and definitely better low light if you do shoot with one of these at night, which people do. It's funny. Ken Wheeler made a comment not long ago on one of his podcasts. If you want a video camera, just get a camcorder. It's got a point. It's a lot easier to do these than it is to do a DSLR or DSLM. You don't worry about anything on these. They pretty much just run.
Well, that's the thing I've always thought. If you're that bothered, get a video camera as well. But the DSLRs are great for when you want that combination. Oh, I want a bit of a video, but I don't have the video camera there. And some people worry about, it only does 15 minutes, it only does 30 minutes. But who cares? With the DSLR, you're not going to be putting it on a tripod and filming a 3-hour event.
Right,
If you're going to do that, you get one of these cameras you can get that cheaper Panasonic for $1,000, which will give you a top quality one if you want that.
Now this one with the we did get the 35. That means it has an SDI port down here. The 35 costs about $2,300. It did go down about $300-400 since it came out, so that was sort of interesting. But I guess Canon has to make things go down because they're not selling. Some of the results sound like they were doing very badly. So
now is that a 4K or not?
2K, no, Canon 4K, no, that's $10,000 4K. Or you get a useless 5D Mark IV for 4K. Yeah, that's the way to go. Something that gives you motion JPEG from 10 years ago. I love it. That's so new on the technology. Hey, Peter Gregg sent his back. He recorded one video and said it was such a pain to work with. He sent it back.
Which camera was that?
That was the 5D Mark IV.
The 5D. Oh, okay.
And I was thinking, I could see it. He was all excited about it. Then when he finally recorded it, and he didn't look that good in the recording. His GH4 looked way better than that 5D Mark IV. So I don't know what he's going to get next. He's been thinking about an 80D, but 80D is okay, but it's not as good as probably a GH4 quality-wise. Yeah, it has the dual pixel, but the GH4 looks better with the 4K. So I don't know. The 80D doesn't have pro features.
It's just amazing that, with Canon, why they didn't, because me and you were not that far into it, and we could have told them what will sell better than that one. And I'm sure there's other people much more qualified than us that they'll have on board that will tell them what will sell. Like there was the Sony, I think, at Photokina had the A99.
A99, which is now a normal size DSLR.
And then that's about $2,600.
And 4K.
4K, and that will be the rival to the 5D Mark
Yes.
Mark IV, and it's got the same sensors as the A7R Mark II, so it's got the 42 megapixel chip.
It actually looked nice. I was thinking maybe that's one I'd want one day. That was a Sony that could look pretty good.
And the thing is, what I think surprised everybody, everybody sort of kept saying that the A mount was dead. That nobody's using that anymore, but that wasn't expecting a new one with an A mount on it. So.
No, so it's interesting. But Sony, I think, isn't selling as many A7Ss and A7Rs like they were saying at this point. They've got competition. They are expensive. Not everybody likes that crappy little teeny-weeny ergonomic form factor. I don't. I'm just one of the don'ts. It's too small. It's uncomfortable.
I tell you, if they made the same thing as the A7R Mark II or the A7S Mark II in that A99 body, I would love that.
I would too.
Yeah, I would probably get that straight because that's the only thing that was holding me back.
And they don't have any real lenses on the A7S, the NEX line either. So this, I don't know, the A99 may have more lenses by the time they're done. I thought they came out with about 4 lenses for it too.
Yeah, Tony was showing the different lenses that they do have for that as well. But
and I think you can get Metabones or one of those adapters to put in your Canon lenses, Nikon, and other things.
I'm sure most of them do have that because, as I said, everybody's got some investment in. If you're into this, like I haven't got much, but I've got a couple of lenses that I wouldn't want to just throw away or not do anything with. It's like with that Canon. The 35 you've just got the video camera. I'm more working on the XA10, but I still think that's a fantastic camera.
It looks good,
and it's just the HD, and it just does wonderful in low light as well. Fairly good.
The only thing bad about the XA10 that we noticed when we streamed at the Lectora User Conference in Fort Lauderdale was that we were getting a lot of moire. It was noticeable. People were coming by with little striped shirts and it was like, it was just moving. I went, oh no. It wasn't good. So from that point of view, it's a great camera, but if you have those uncontrollables, then you may have some issues with the moire because it does really have that moving pattern on certain kind of shirts. And that's not good, but other things are great. The camera shoots really nicely, and it's got pretty good color. I'd say it's an all-around darn good camera.
If I got into it a bit more, I wouldn't mind updating to the later Canon. But I've got the the HZ1000, the Panasonic, which does a good job, but it's just a little bit bigger.
Now, have you ever tried doing your show with that in HD?
I might try that.
It'd be interesting to see how that looks compared to the XA10.
Well, the one thing I just don't like, when I do monitor it like this, on the Canon I can see the viewfinder. It will show me what I'm looking at, whereas I'll flick the one round on the 1000, and as soon as I start doing that, the monitor cuts off, so I can't see what I'm doing.
It does?
It's very strange. So.
Now, wait a minute, you should be able to see yourself when you turn it around.
Yeah, not on that one for some reason. I don't know why. So
I was able to do that.
No, it will normally when I'm filming like this. But once I stick the HDMI cable,
it's the HDMI. It takes over, doesn't it?
Yeah. But on this one, it doesn't. On the Canon, it doesn't.
No, you can do it in any mode. It's pretty cool.
But the other one, it takes over. But
and this one uses better HDMI because they have the mini rather than the micro.
Yes, that's right.
And I think the Panasonic had the micro, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think that does. I can't remember. I
thought it was small.
It does.
I don't think it was
but it's something,
size.
As I said, I've just got to get out a bit more and do it because they all do such a great quality. It's just what you get out and film it with as well. So just got to get out there.
Yeah, so if you're in the market for an X-T2 from Fujifilm, it's a really nice camera. But be prepared. If you haven't worked with Fuji, there's going to be a little bit more of a learning curve in terms of all the dials you have. It's a little quirky on some things, but that's, again, like anything else that's new and different, it's just learning it. That part of the fun is the challenge, to learn it, to get good at it, and then to see, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? There's not a lot of tutorials on the web on how to use it. The manual is okay. It's like all manuals, not great, but it's not bad. There's only one book available for it, which was a very basic book. And Ken Wheeler's done probably 40 videos on it already, of which maybe about 15 or 10 are tutorial videos, and they're not bad. They tell you about the menus and things to look at. But I'm surprised at how few people are doing reviews or videos on it.
But the people who seem to have got hold of it really are impressed with it. So it seems to be a really a good camera for that. But I'm quite keen to save me money and get one of them next year, I think.
Yeah, or wait, because there's going to be another one called the X Pro F 100F or something like that, which might be very nice. A little bit bigger, just a tad bigger.
Well, there was one. What was that? Well, not the GFX 550, the Fuji one. That's a bigger one, but that's for next year. They were saying.
Okay.
So the 50 megapixel one.
Oh, that's the medium format one.
Yep. Yeah, that's a medium format one.
Yeah, if they bring it down under 5,000, that kills maybe the Canon 5DSR.
But as I said, it's going to be one of those ones that will sort of revolutionize that sort of area anyway. So.
Now, I put the 5DSR up for sale, but if it doesn't sell, I'll just keep it. It's not a bad camera to keep. And the Ronin M, we've had people interested, but nobody's bought it yet.
I was just going to say, if I was you, I'd keep that Canon, because from what it sounds like, it can do a good job. It will be a good certain job camera that I think you could use. And that Ronin M, I was just thinking about that. I thought if I was there, I would take it, because I would love to have that if I was there. So
it's not a bad stabilizer. We just never used it. We don't have a lot of need for that. So I think I might get one of those handheld gimbals. That might be
because. It was funny though. Tony was saying in Photokina, there's the GoPros. They're trying to sort of revamp the new GoPro's got a little LCD screen so you can see what you're doing. And I thought that's fantastic, because the only thing I hate about my little GoPro is I never know what it's doing.
I thought you could see it through your phone.
Not your GoPro.
Not the GoPro.
When I set it on, I can't set it. I've got the remote going through it, and I just don't like it one little bit. Whereas the new one's got the little LCD, so you can see it. It's all self-contained, so you don't need to put it in a waterproof housing anymore, which is good. But he was saying it was quite strange. He said it's a struggling sort of market, because most people don't want them cameras anymore. They're all over these action cameras underwater. They're all into the drones now. And then he was saying, of course, Nikon's come out with a range of these sports cameras that nobody wants.
I know, it's funny.
GoPro's trying to get out of them, and they're trying to get into the market.
Nikon says, what do we do next? Let's do sports cameras. Okay.
That's a dying market.
It is. Yeah, but Nikon and Canon are never quite with it, are they?
No, it's just said they just come.
They just compete against each other. So now Canon will come up with a really useless small sport camera too, I'm sure. Gosh. I am looking forward to getting the Canon M5, the mirrorless one. I actually did like the M3 a lot, but it had a lot of things that could have been better. They really redid the M5 to make the M3 obsolete. The M5 really is a better camera. So I think the M5 can shoot pictures as well as the 80D, maybe even some of the full-frame ones. It's going to be that good.
Now go and listen to the Petapixel photography podcast, one of the later ones, where Sharky James talks about the M5. So that might change your mind.
Did you like it? No?
But no. It was just, so have a listen to that, because I think it's the same old Canon thing. They've got so much potential on something, but they've lost it. As I said, everybody else is doing what they've had the opportunity to do something really great.
Yeah.
But everybody else is still doing better. So,
well, Canon has a very interesting marketing team. I think they sit back and go, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. What's out there? Okay, all that, great. We're going to come up with that in about 2 years. And we're going to say it's new. And they're going to believe us because we're Canon. Okay, guys, let's release the 5D Mark IV. It'll wow them. It'll knock them off their feet. And everybody goes, what a piece of junk.
But if Canon came out with, say, the 80D, a camera like that was just mirrorless, that would be great.
That would make sense.
All the features of that, just a camera like that, just convert. I think people like me, I'd get that, because it'd be much lighter, it'd be quiet.
I thought they would do something intelligent, and there was a rumor about that, but it wasn't true, that the 5D Mark IV would have been mirrorless. Now that would have been innovative.
That would have been fantastic, because you could have said, I'll lash out that extra money because it's full frame camera,
Yeah.
but it's mirrorless and it does an excellent job. Even like Sony, that's why I think Sony's getting so good, because they're the only ones that do the full frame video as well.
Now the A99 is not mirrorless. Why? I don't know. They came out with a mirrored camera, but it's a translucent mirror. So it's kind of there, but you can see through it. I don't get it.
Which one was that?
The A99.
Oh, that's right.
Weird. It's a translucent mirror. It's like, I see you, but you can't see me. I see you.
Yeah, Tony was explaining that, and I thought, gee, that is really weird. It's got a mirror, but it doesn't move up and down, though, does it?
It just makes people who love mirrors feel good.
Yeah.
Kind of like a binky. Got my mirror.
I like those ones where you can have 100% silent mode, because I liked it when you can just take a picture and it's not going clink, clink, so you just press it.
Right.
It sounds a bit soft sometimes when you're not sure whether you've taken it, but some of the ones you don't want to have that noise, you just want to take a shot.
Especially if you're out in public and you're shooting things and, it's like, oh, I'm going to be a discreet street photographer. Oh, this a nice scene. And immediately everybody turns around. It's like, it wasn't me.
Yeah, it's very...
It's like, now you can on the Fuji go pretty quiet, because you can go into mirrorless mode, electronic shutter, and well, not mirrorless, but electronic shutter. It's a mirrorless camera. Electronic shutter now doesn't have any shutter, so it's very quiet. Though Fuji has feather shutters. I mean, they're so light. On some of the other cameras, they said that's how a shutter should be. It's completely quiet.
Yeah, like the Panasonic, there's no noise whatsoever, is there?
No, it's very quiet.
Like on the FZ1000, there's no noise at all. There isn't any shutter noise.
Now they should make a shutter that does something like this. When you press it, it goes, "Not me! Look over there! It's the guy next to me!"
I'm amazed when you said that. I'm amazed that somebody hasn't come up with that, since cell phones had all these horrible ringtones, and people say, "What have you got on your ringtone on the phone?" I said, "It goes ring, ring, ring like a telephone." So I said, "I just hate it with all these." I said, "No, and nobody answers the phone. They don't know it's the phone." I said, "At least I know it's. Oh, that's the phone ringing."
Yeah, but no, it's got all these weird music and this and that and chimes, and so yeah, it's sort of interesting. I tell you, there's too many products out there, not enough money to buy them. So, but I'm done. I'm done buying anything.
When you do, then you need the time to play with them.
Yeah, I'll buy the GH5 when it comes out, but I think at this point, I don't think I'm buying anything else. I have the M5 on pre-order, and I could still cancel it, but we'll see. I like the M3 colors. They were really pretty. But maybe I'll change it. Maybe I'll get one of the smaller Fujis that are just like that are small, but I'm not sure yet.
What's the price of the M5?
$990, something like that.
And is that just?
And I don't know if that's the kit where you get the converter for the Canon EF and EFS mount lenses, and there's one other thing that came in that kit.
So do they have their own separate range of lenses as well?
Well, they've added, I think, 4 more lenses. So, and you really don't need that many lenses if you're just doing certain kinds of photography or filming.
No.
You don't need a ton of lenses. So,
no,
when people say,
it's just a couple of lenses, isn't it?
So. No, and half the people complaining about lenses only have like 3 lenses anyway. So why do you want 42 lenses? Canon's got, 200 lenses to their name or 100 lenses? And it's like, yeah, but how many people need all of those? No one.
And then the people who can afford them and get them really don't know how to use them properly, so they don't get the best out. The same as me. I don't protest that I've got know a great deal about photography, but I wouldn't get a lot of lenses because it would be lost on me. Whereas a professional photographer, they get every thing out of each lens.
Well, yeah. For example, you get an 80 millimeter or 85 millimeter, a 90 millimeter, and a 100 millimeter. Why? They're really close together. There's not that much difference. You can get a zoom that covers all of that, but you can get maybe one for portrait, like an 85 millimeter for portrait would be nice. But do you need an 85, a 90, and a 100? Probably not.
And I always remember a friend of ours that we both know, Samit, always says, I always use my 2-foot zoom.
Yeah.
And he said, "What's your 2-foot zoom?" He said, "The ones on the bottom of your feet. Just get closer." And he said, "That's truly is the only way to do it
funny.
properly."
So he's only using primes.
Yeah, but that's what he said. Use a 2-foot zoom, and he's showing some.
Well, you know,
pictures
he's got to be careful.
some-
He does Bengal tigers and stuff. You know, you get real close to them, and you could be dog meat that day.
Well, he's shown a few shots, and he said that's where he did get fairly close. He said it was very close.
He wasn't zoomed far away. No,
Yeah,
and he's got some beautiful. Have you seen his shots? They're beautiful.
Oh, he does some fantastic shots, doesn't he? I've done a couple of his seminars and that.
Oh,
When
did
I've
you?
been over.
Okay, were they good?
Oh, excellent! He's just so good to listen to. I wish he'd come out here and do some just to listen to him and show his photos, because you get some quite interesting things, and he was just showing about saving the tigers as well.
Right.
But like we here, we drive around and you might see a dead dog on the road, but sometimes they see dead tigers on the road.
Yeah.
I thought, gee, that's just so saddening, isn't it? Such a majestic creature.
They're beautiful.
And that, so.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, Jeff, we are pretty much about the end of our time. Next week we have somebody you like.
Yes, I saw that.
Anders from Andiax.
Yeah.
The problem is he's 2 hours early. Are you okay with that? That's a 2 hour early for you.
So what will that be? What will that be? That will be.
So that'll be like
that'll be
5 in the morning or 6? 6, I think,
6,
your time.
6, but I just have to get up earlier to get ready.
Okay, because I was going, oh, darn, because Jacqueline said she was trying to get him at 2 or 3, and he goes, oh, I can do 1.
Well, if it was a week later, we go on to our summertime the week later, so at least it would only be an hour difference then. So.
Summer, okay. But
we'll do that. I'll get up for that, because that would be great to.
They haven't done a lot recently, I think. They've been a little quiet.
They've been doing lots of little bits and pieces, but they're just fantastic. I just love the way that they do their filming, and I've got so many ideas out of that, how they do with lighting. Like,
I love those. Yeah. Did you like the one where they had that kind of horror movie?
Yeah, and where they've stuck the light in the bush.
Yeah. And
I thought, you don't think about that. And you think, we've got these lovely lights with batteries. Why don't you do things like that? But they do the things that you think of in your head.
The moonlight coming in from with just one light, fake moonlight. It was cool. But they do nice work, and they have a very gentle, nice touch about the way they present things. I think they're great.
Yeah, I do like them, and they get tons of views. So I hope they make a lot of money out of their things, because they deserve it. They do well as well.
Yep. Well, good. So next week we'll have Anders from Andiax, and if you're not familiar with him, you got to come see it. Now, I thought they were Swedish. Jacqueline said they're Norwegian.
No, definitely not. So, yeah, I was sure they were Norwegian. So.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know why I thought they were Swedish. Maybe just mistake, or somebody said that and I heard it. From somebody who thought they were Swedish. Maybe that's what it was. But no, they do great. I'm looking forward to seeing him on the show and see what he talks about, and because they one of them likes the GH4, the other one likes the Sonys, and it's interesting.
And he's just put something up about IBC they've just been to in Europe as well, so I'll have to have a look at that. So
I got to go look at it.
He does that each year. I've seen that, and he does quite a good review, taking with the camera in there and showing around the show and that.
Yeah, that'll be good.
That'd be quite good.
Well, Jeff, you have a great. Well, you're in your weekend already. You have a great continued weekend. It's early morning your time on Saturday. We're Friday. Starting to get later afternoon. So you have a great one, and then we'll see you next week for Tech Down Over.
Yes.
If you haven't watched this show, watch it. You'll enjoy it. If you're watching right now but haven't watched it, pay attention.
And if you're not watching it now, you won't know.
That's right, because you won't know what you missed. And we're not going to tell you.
You won't know what we're saying.
Yeah. We're just not going to tell you. Anyway, have a good one, everyone. We'll see you next week on Tech Down Over. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye, Jeff.